Hi guys, today we'll be going over the SQL Case when function. If you like this tutorial, please hit the like button and leave all your questions in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification button. Let's start then. The case statement in SQL is a way to treat and handle the if-then logic. The case statement is always followed by at least one pair of when and then, and also the case statement must end with the end statement. Let me show you how we will use actually the case statement in one of those queries. Okay. VentureWorks, human resources, and our table will be employees table. Now let's use national ID number and the job title, the hire date, the salaried flag. Okay, let's run this query for now. Okay, so pretty much out of this data that we have here, what we need to do is to find all the salaried employees and mark them as a qualifying employee for whatever promotion or whatever contest or that the company is trying to do, but this is just for the sake of an example. So for example here, anything or any employee that has a value of 1 under the salary flag, we will generate a column here and using a case when statement, and we will call it qualified. Then we will flag it as a yes qualified or no non-qualified. Let's see how we will do that. First thing we will do, we type in the word case, then when, and we use our column here. So case when salary or salaried flag is equal to 1, then let's flag it as yes for qualified. So if this value is equal to 1, our new column here will have a value of yes. Now what if this value here is not equal to 1? This is where we will type in, and do it this way so you guys can read it better. So we have to write the else, and we will call it as no. And remember when I said that the case statement needs to be ended with an end statement. So let's read this again. So case when the salaried flag, which is this column here, value, if it's equal to 1, our value here for the new column will be yes. If it's not equal to 1, the value will be a no. Then we will end our case statement with the word end, and right after the end, we can alias our column. We will call our column as qualified. Now let me run this and you will see what I mean by using this case statement. Alright, so now you see that we have a qualified column here that we created. It's kind of a conditional results here, we just asked SQL to translate any salaried flag that's equal to 1 to the word yes, and anything that's different from 1 to the word no. Pretty much that's all what we did. And again, this is how we write the case 1 statement. This is the most simplified actually example. Now let's see here. Let's see if we use more than one condition within our case when. And when I say more than one condition, I'm talking about this section here. So, for example, and this is just again for the sake of example. Now, let me add gender column to my query. All right. Now let's say we only need female salaried employees. Those are the only employees that will qualify for whichever contest or promotion that we are using here. In this case, we will say case when salaried flag is equal to 1, and we can add and gender is equal to F for female. So I'm going to run this query, and you will see that even if it's a salaried employee, but the gender is M for male, that employee will not qualify. Why? Because we say the condition needs to meet two actually criteria. The first one is the salaried flag should be a 1 value or equal to 1, and the gender needs to equal to F for female. So whenever you see F for female and salaried flag equal to 1, that's when that employee will qualify. And this is how we use more than one condition within our case when. Now let's go over another example where we will be using multiple whens. Like right now we only used when once, but let's see how we can use multiple whens. Okay, we have to write a new query for that. Okay, let me write in caps. So, Adventure Works again, database. Our schema will be production, and our table will be product. We will query this table. So first we'll use the product ID. Then we need to use the name, list price, and let's just use this for now. Okay, so we have product ID, a name, and we have a list price. And this list price can be any price actually, based on what the product is. Now, what we will need to do here is we need to categorize these actually products into, let's say, 4 buckets. And those 4 buckets will be actually used in a case statement. So we will say case when the list price is equal to 0, then display a message that will say or read no cost. Okay, then we can say over here, remember we always have to end our case statement with an AND statement, sorry. Then we will alias our column. Let's call it condition results. Now let me run it. And as you can see here, we only used one bucket, which is the no cost. So anything that's equal to 0 in here will show or read a text that says no cost. Now let me scroll down to somewhere where there is a value higher than 0. As you can see, anything that's greater than 0, it didn't show anything under the condition results. Why? Because we did not specify what it's supposed to say when it's greater than 0. Now, this is where we will be using multiple when. So then we can say when list price is between $1 and $500, then let's display low cost. Let's execute this query and let's go over any values between $1 and $500. This is where you will see no cost or low cost. Now we have this one that did not show anything. Why? It's because this value here is not equal to 0 and it's not between 1 and 500. So we need to bucket this value, otherwise we will always have a blank results actually, or null results. So let's continue with our buckets, and this will also show you how you can use multiple whens based on the scenario that you are working with. So list price between $501 and $1,000. Once that condition is met, the text will display mid-range cost. And we can add our final one here. So when list price is greater than 1,000, then display high cost. Then we can use our else, leave the value as null. So if none of these conditions are met, then I want you to leave the value as null. That's what we actually specified here within this case statement. Let me read it again. If the list price is equal to 0, we will display no cost. If it's between $1 and $500, you will see a text reading as low cost. If the list price is between $501 and $1,000, then the text will show as mid-range cost. And if the value is greater than $1,000, you will see a text reading high cost. Now, if none of these conditions are met or is met, then the text will be just null, like this. Now let's run our query. Okay, so we have zeros and we will see no cost. It's this condition here. I'm going to scroll down. All right, so we have these values that did actually get us a text that's reading low cost. Why? Because it's all those actually values are between 1 and 500. So pretty much those results are part of this when condition here. Now let me keep scrolling. All right, so we have one here that's within the high range. So it's $1,431.50, and it's displaying or showing high cost as a result. Why? Is because this condition here actually met this criteria, because the value is greater than 1,000, and so on. So pretty much this is how you write a case statement with multiple when. Now let's use or show a different example here. And let's go back to our employee table. And from there, let's display the national number ID or ID number, the job title, and we need the hire date, the gender, salaried flag, then let's use our case statement that we used earlier. Case when salaried flag equal to 1 and the gender equal to F for female, then yes, else no. We will end our statement and call it or erase it as qualified. Let's run it. Now I'm going to show you how we will use or query by a case when. Now, as you see here, we have results qualified. It's either yes or no, Y or N. Now let's say I only need to return data where the qualified is equal to Y for yes. Then let's try this. We will say where qualified equal yes. Now I'm going to run this query and hoping that we will get all the results here where the qualified column value is equal to the word or the letter Y for yes. Going to execute my query. And my query actually errored out. Why it did error out? So let's read it, the message that we get. So the error message is message 207, and it says invalid column name qualified, which is this here, this column here. So pretty much what this means is that this column here that's called qualified, which is exactly what we called in here, it's actually not a column. This is just a result column that actually we made using a case statement. So pretty much this column here, qualified, does not exist in this table. Let me show you. I'm going to run every single column from this table employee. And I'm going to scroll down little by little here, or slowly. So you can read those column headers, and none of them says qualified, as you can see. So because that column doesn't exist in the table, once we run our query like this and we query by this qualify or this column here that we made, it's not gonna work. It will always error out because SQL actually statement will not find the column qualified within the employee table. How can we fix this? There are actually two ways to fix this. The first one will be a workaround actually. So how we can do that? You will need to wrap your whole query into between parentheses, and you say select star from, and you use kind of like a nested query. And if you guys remember, we did go over nested queries on previous videos and tutorials. Then now you can use that column as or within a where clause. So when using this result as a nested query, you literally turned everything between the two parentheses here as excuse me, you literally turned everything between those two parentheses as a table. So now when I run this, my query will run fine. Why? Because it can find the column qualified within this whole table now, or nested query. And as you can see, if I scroll down, everything will show Y, because that's what we specified within our condition here, or within our where clause. So this is one kind of workaround that you can actually query and use results from your case when within a where clause. This is workaround number one. There is another way that you can use or query by a case when, and that's simply using this way here. So if I need, let's say I need to return everything where the qualified is n, what you can do, you can copy everything from case all the way to end. Then you will come here to your where clause and you will say where case when salaried flag equal to 1 and gender equal to F, then display yes, else display no, and you add an equal sign here and you will display or write the criteria that you want to query by. So in this case, I need to return only the non-qualifying employees, meaning I only need the ones where the qualified column here equal to n. So let's run it and you will see. So everything, I scrolled all the way down and everything is equal to n. Why? Because I literally specified that I only need to return results with the letter n under the qualify or under my case statement result. This is how we use the case statement in SQL Server, and thank you for watching.